Om Shakti Hrim, Om Shakti Klim, Om Shakti Shrim, Om Shakti Aim, Om Shakti Sof, Om Shakti, Om Shakti. We are beginning to read a very great stotra. This is celebrated Kaula stotra, which is now translated from Sanskrit for the first time, is attributed to Mahakali himself. The text usage is that of the edition published at Calcutta in 1899 by the Sanskrit Press Depository, with a commentary in Sanskrit by the late Mahamapandaya Krishnanatha Napanchana, who was both very learned in Tantra Shastra and faithful to his dharma. He thus refused the offer of a good government post made to him personally by a former lieutenant governor on the grounds that he would not accept money for imparting knowledge. Some variants in reading are supplied by this commentator. I am indebted to him for these notes, or substance of the notes marked. To this I have added others both in English and the Sanskrit explained matters and allusions familiar doubtless to those for whom the original was designed, but not so to the English of even ordinary Indian reader. This is stotra is related to Kaula tradition. This is stotra is very important to people who study tantras, because he opens the heart which can understand the goddess. I make obeisance to the Lord Guru, who is the granting tree of suras, eternal consciousness and bliss itself, the highest of the highest Brahman, Shiva himself. I make obeisance to her who by her shakti or three gunas creates, maintains, and the end of the kalpa withdraws the void and the alone is. Devotedly I call to mind her, the mother of whole universe, Shiva himself. Om, obeisance to the Supreme Devata. Here follows an introduction to the Vimalananda commentary on that Lord of hymns called the Karpura Adi Stotra to Srimad Dakshina Kalika. O good and unpowerful Parameshvara is without beginning or end. Though in himself Nirguna, he is the Adhara of the three gunas. So himself formless he creates, preserves and withdraws the world of extended matter, Prapancha, by means of the Avarana and Vikshepa Shakti of his own Maya, which can make that possible which seem impossible. The Svetashvatara Upanishad says that by meditation who sees the Svashakti of the Deva, who is the abode of all causes, is associated with Kaula Tattva. In the Niruttara Tantra, Shiva speaks of the three-eyed corpse like one. Kaula Tattva is the principle of time. Nirguna, by also set of gunas associated with Shakti, though himself without beginning, middle or end. He creates and is the material cause of the world which has a beginning, middle and end. For this reason the Tantras and the other Shastras call him Adinatha, Mahakali, Paramashiva and Parabrahman. Is a transition of Shiva from Nirguna, without form, in form, is the name of Shiva Adinatha. The name of Shiva Mahakali is a great time. Is a feeling of God like a time. Paramashiva is a transcendental Shiva who we can understand in meditation. Parabrahman is a Shiva who incarnate all reality of object and the world. It is an unlimited, undivided, beginningless, and endless Mahakali who is imagined to be limited by the sun, moon, and planets, and such is called by the names of Kaula, Katha, Muhurta, Yama, day, night, Paksha, months, season, half year, Yuga, Kalpa, and so forth. It is he who divides time into Kaula, Katha, and so forth, and as Vyasthi is called by the name Kaula and the rest. He is named Paramashiva Mahakali when creating, preserving, and withdrawing the million of worlds. The all notions of the time is a Mahakali. Apart from individual name and form, he exists as a samadhi of them and the endless supreme greatness. Paramamahan. Vishnu Purana says that Bhagavan Kaula is without beginning or end. From him appears the limited in creation. Atharva Veda says that Kaula created beings Prajna, he is Prajapati. From Kaula was self-born Kashyapa and Tapas. Mahakali is the husband of Dakshinakali. Mahakali is the first Shiva in 10 Mahavidyas tradition. He is a more impotent Shiva, Mahakali Bhairava, who opens the heart of Sadhaka to goddess. And Sadhaka, he can see goddess like a time, but time who have a heart, who have a love, and love is changing when the time coming, and we always looking for new love, but Mahakali is given total love. Kurma Purana also says that he is a supreme, imperishable, without beginning or end, all-pervading, independent, the Atma of all who fascinate all minds by his greatness. Kalmadhava cites Vishnu Dharmatara as saying that he is called Kaula because of his dissolving all beings, and he is Parameshvara because he is himself without beginning or end. Paramashiva is the mind of all meditation. He is ruling all the gods and all beings in his understanding yourself. He is Paramashiva because he is without beginning or end. Mahakali is himself Nirguna and Nishkriya, but his Shakti makes the sun and other heavenly lights rise, stay and set. It is by the power of Shakti of Kaula that man and other jivas are conceived in the womb, are born, attain childhood, boyhood, middle, and the old age, and leave the world on death. In this Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, Vedavyasa says that it is through Kaula that women be, then birth and death occur, winter, summer and rains come, and the seed germinates. Even Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra appear, stay and disappear through the Shakti of Kaula. No one can escape its operation. Vishnu Samhita says that even those devas who create and withdraw the world are themselves withdrawn by Kaula. Kaula, or time, is certainly then the stronger. Mahakali is called Mahakali because he is one and the same and not different from his eternal Shakti. It is she who is the Mahavidya, Mahadevi, Mahamaya and Parabrahma Rupini. As Adinatha Mahakali is the first creator of the world, so the Shakti of Mahakali, the merciful Mahakali, is the Adi Guru of the world. Yogini Tantra says that Mahakali is the mother of the world, and one with Mahakali as he shown in the Adharaneshwara Murti. It was this Brahma Vidya who Yogini Tantra, as the beginning of this Kalpa, was heard as a bodiless voice from the sky by Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, who were then told to perform tapasya for acquisition of creative and other shaktis. It was this Aniruddha Saraswati who in the Satya Yuga appeared in the heavens before Indra and other proud devatas in the form of the brilliant Yaksha and crushing the pride of the devas Agni and Vayu. In the form of O beautiful Uma taught Brahma Tattva to Indra, the king of devas. This Kali again, who is a Parameshti Guru and grants Kaivalya, compassionating the sensuous and short-lived jivas of the terrible Kali Yuga, revealed the Samshambhavi Vidya. This which was taught in the form of conversation between Devi and Ishvara. And this four Guru, Paraguru, Parameshti Guru, Adi Guru, this is Guru is invoked before the Tantric lesson, before the Tantric sadhana. This is Guru is a Kali himself. She gives the knowledge inside of the face or images of real Guru. This is which was taught in the form of conversation between Devi and Ishvara, had been during the 3 preceding ages kept as concealed as a lady of high family from public gaze. It contained 3 sets of 64 agamas which revealed the path of liberation for the jivas. This named 64 tantras of Bhairava and Bhairavi is a minimum knowledge who need sadhaka to be converted in tradition of Kaula. It contained so she is herself eternal and Sachitananda Rupini. She at times out of compassion for sadhakas assumes form fitted for the sadhana. Similarly, the Veda, Agama and the rest, though everlasting portion of the Shabda Brahma Rupini, are only revealed to sadhakas at a different time in the several yugas. When the Mahadevi, who is the consciousness, Chinmaya, at the beginning of Kalpa, was pleased by the tapasya of Deva Rudra, floating on the causal waters, she assumes the Virat aspect and becomes thus visible to him. At the time, by the command of Mahadevi, the Deva Rudra saw in the Sushumna millions of universe, Brahmanda, and millions of Brahmas, Vishnus and Maheshwaras in them. The Deva greatly wandering in the heart lotus of Mahadevi, they saw the Murti, the Shabda Brahman consisting of Agamas, Nigamas and other Shastras, see Yogini Tantra. He saw that of the Murti Agama was the Paramatma, the four Vedas with the Angas were the Jivatma, the 6 system of philosophy Darshana were the sense, the Mahapuranas and Upapuranas were the gross body, the Smriti were the hands and the other limbs, and all other Shastras were the heads of the great body. So Mahakali is incarnate. This is all big knowledge which consists of Veda, Agama, but the most important is a Murti. Murti is a picture of Durga, is a picture of Kali. In this picture you can understand Goddess, you can understand her face, her actions, and to be understood by man who all can image in like form. He saw the agamas brilliant as the millions of suns and moon, replete with the old dharma and brahmajnana, powerful to destroy all maya, full of siddhis and brahma nirvana. He also saw the 50 matrika letters, resplendent with the tejas on the edges as the petals of her heart lotus. By the grace of Mahakali, he fully mastered the Veda, Vedanta, Purana, Smriti, and all other Shastra. Lady Brahma and Vishnu received this knowledge of Agama and Nigama from him. From her. The goddess Mahakali, he is killing our ego. He battle with the Mahishasura is the name of our spiritual ego. But this spiritual ego, he knows magic of, but he does not understand the old religion of Tantra or Yoga. In the Satya Yuga, Brahma revealed the Smriti, Puranas and other Shastra to the Devarishis. In this way, Brahma Vidya was promulgated to the world. This therefore is asserted to show that just as Brahman is everlasting, so are the Agamas and Nigamas which tell of Brahman. Just in the Satya and other Yuga. So we can see this when Agama and Nigama appeared, when is appeared this world. He is everlasting, so you can understand when your etir is become like yogi. When you was adopted in tradition and you formed some qualities in your soul which allow you to understand the light. Just as in Satya and other yugas, only the street-wise born caste wearing the sacred street, but not the Shudra and other low caste were they entitled to worship according to the Veda. So in those three yugas, only Devarishis, Brahmarishis and Rajarishis who had conquered this passion and knew Advaita doctrine and Brahman were entitled to the Agama Shastra, which destroys all senses of difference caused by the ignorance and grants knowledge of Advaita Tattva. Only the king and the only great yogi can understand Agama Tantra, and so they was consecrated in this knowledge. But in now age, this knowledge is open to everybody, and all caste is destroyed by this knowledge, because this knowledge give Advaita Tattva, is a principle of non-duality. By Shiva's command they kept as a secret in their heart as they would a knowledge of their own mother illicit love. By Upasana they become liberated whilst yet living like Jivan Mukta and attained to Brahma Nirvana. At the time the Upasana of the Agama was known to sadhakas devoted to karma. For this reason many people nowadays think the Tantra Shastra to be of recent origin. Probably all know that in the first three yugas Brahmana boys, after investiture with the sacred street, used to learn the Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda of the Veda orally from the preceptors. The Veda was not then classified or reduced to writing. Towards the close of the Dvapara Yuga, Shri Krishna Dvapayana Maharshi Vedavyasa divided the Veda into 4 parts and reduced it to writing. This, however, does not show that the Veda is a recent production. The supreme science Paravidya, which is contained in the Agama, was also handed down from generation to generation of gurus in the first three yugas and is being now similarly transmitted. Towards the end of the Dwapara Yuga and the beginning of the Kali age, merciful Shiva, impelled by compassion for humanity, bound in the toils of ignorance, divided in Tantra Shastra, which unlimited knowledge into three sets of 64 parts each, according to the necessity of different Adhikaris, and then told them to the Ganapati and Kartikeya, the two beloved sons of Parvati. They is a disciple of Tantra, and they listens the conversation between Shiva and Parvati, and this conversation gives them understanding of woe. They practice. They repeated these tantras to Rishi of Siddha ashramas, and this last in this turn told them to their own disciples. Of the rishis who knew Agamas, the chief was Dattatreya, an incarnation of Vishnu. At the beginning of the Kalpa, the ancient Brahma Vidya contained in the Agama appeared from out the Parameshti Guru, who is the Maha Brahma Vidya, and exists in the man's heart, unlimited and imperishable. If sadhana is done according to the instruction of Sadguru, it becomes visible in the sadhaka's heart. Upasana in the Vedic form predominate in the Satya Yuga. In those days, Brahmanas and other twice born caste, impelled by a desire for wealth, progeny, and so forth, used it to worship Indra, Agni, Vayu, Surya, Soma, Varuna, and other devas, presiding over particular shaktis of Parameshwara, in whom all shaktis resides. But desire-free Brahma Rishis and Maharishis did sadhana of Brahma Vidya, the full and perfect shakti. And so we see in the 10th mandala of the Rigveda Samhita that Mahadevi appeared in the heart of the daughter of Maharshi Ambarishi, and so told the true nature of Brahma Vidya to Rishi. The knowledge of Tantra you can adopt from goddess Kali and Shiva themselves, from knowledge of books of Rishi, and from Veda, and from teacher who tell you like a lecture, like instruction. And this is different types of Tantra which sadhaka can to understand simultaneously. This is the Devi Sukta full of Advaita Tattva, the given telling of the true nature of Brahma Vidya in the Veda. In the Treta and other yugas, the Brahmanas and other twice born devoted to the Karma Kanda used to perform yajnas and so forth, according to the Smriti Shastras of Manu and others. But Brahma Rishi Vasishtha, Raja Rishi Vishwamitra, Vijayaraja Janaka, Jamadagni, Shri Ramachandra and other high-souled men were worshippers of Brahma Vidya, the full and the perfect Shakti. Only by Shakti you can understand Brahma Vidya whole, totally, because Shakti is giving your end of knowledge. Again, in the Dwapara Yuga, despite the existence of Vedic and Smarta cults, the Agnihotra Yajna and other rites used to be performed according to the Puranas. But the high soul Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the five Pandavas, namely Yudhishthira, and the high soul Raja Rishi Bhishma, the great Muni Vedavyasa, high soul Shukadeva, Asita Devala, and Brahma Rishis such as Durvasa Muni, were worshippers of Mahavidya, the perfect Shakti. Of this, the Mahabharata and other books provide particular proofs. In the present Kali Yuga, also the 10 samskaras such as marriage, the so forth, of the tribe born, and the obsequial ceremonies such as Shraddha are performed according to Vedic ritual. Smriti governs Chandrayana and other matters relating to ashrama and legal affairs such as inheritance. The autumnal Durga Puja and the other vratas are performed according to the Puranas. But initiation upasana of Brahman with Shakti and various practice of yoga are done according to the ritual of the Agama Shastra. This latter is of three kinds according to the prevalence of the gunas, namely Tantra, Yamava and Damara. There are in all 192 agamas current, namely 64 each is Akshvakranta, Radhakranta and Vishnukranta. Many tantras were lost in Buddhist and Magometan times, and the few which still remains with the sadhakas in different parts of the country are not shown by them to any but to their disciples, so that these also are about to be lost. The late Rasika Mahana Chantapadhyaya, with a great effort and cost, saved some of these, and the Englishman Sir John Woodruff has done the same, and I hope yet others will in future be rescued by them. In the Yogini Tantra, Ishvara says to Devi that the difference between Vedas and Agamas is like the between Jiva and Atma. That is, between Jiva covered with the Avidya and Ishvara who is the foe of Vidya. Indra and other devas who used to be worshipped as Ishvara in the Yajnas, held under the Karma Kanda or Samhita of the Vedas, are in Tantra Shastra worshipped as the presiding devotees of the Dikpalini Shakti, of her who is the All Shakti, Sarva Shakti Swarupini. The three Ishvaras, Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra of the Vedas and Puranas are in Tantra Shastra the presiding devotees of the creative, preservating and dissolving Shaktis of Mahadevi. As such, they are worshipped as the supports of the coach of the Mahadevi. She in the Devi Gita says that Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Ishvara, Sadashiva are the Mahapretas at my feet. They are constituted of 5 bhutas and represent the 5 different elements of matter. Om Ksau Sadashiva Mahapretas Hum Svaha. I have a say, she says, I am unmanifested consciousness, teeth, and in every way beyond them. This is 5 gods is sitting near the feet of Tripura Sundari. Again, the Veda says, all this is verily Brahman. Despite the Mahavakya, various distinctions are made, such as those of caste, adhikara of man and woman, and so forth. So, a male Brahmana may say Vedic mantras but not Brahmana woman. Distinction was again made between objects as between the water of the Ganges and a well. The Vedic tradition, it can be all such distinctions are wholly opposite to the spirit of the great God, Mahavakya. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Shivoham. The Tantra Shastra says that the Supreme Brahman is both subtle and gross. In dependence of the truth of this Mahavakya, Tantric Satyakas purify wine which is not to be taken and drunk according to Veda. Considering it to be as holy as nectar, they offer it into the mouth of Kua Kundalini, who is the consciousness itself, Chit Swarupini. Again, in accordance with Veda, the Tantra holds food to be sacred, and knowing that food is a Brahman, orders the offering of it to Mahadevi. This offered food is in Mahaprasada and very holy and rare even for devas, and whether it is to be brought by a Chandava or even fallen from the mouth of a dog. The Vedas then Smriti says that the Chandava and other low castes are untouchable. On touching them, one must base, do agama shana and so forth. But the Tantra Shastra says that even a Chandava who has a knowledge of Kuva, Doten, and Brahman is superior to a Brahmana who does not know Brahman. This is Tantra Shastra again says that during the chakra or caste are equal. Since all are children of the one mother of the world, no distinction should be made at the time of worshipping her. It is on this tantric authority that no caste distinction are observed in the matter of eating and therefore in the Virajakshetra of Shri Vimala Devi. The Veda again prohibits the performance of yajna or worship after the taking of food. Tantra Shastra however says that one should not worship Kalika while suffering from hunger or thirst. Otherwise, she becomes angry. That is, since Shiva and Jiva are really one, is futile to worship the Paramatma, saying, I offer Naivedya, when the Jiva who is one with it is in want of food and drink. Smriti again, which explains Veda, orders that the Shavagrama stone which represents Narayana should not to be touched or worshipped by any Brahmanas. On the other hand, the Tantra Shastra orders that the Banalinga representation of the Brahman may be touched and worshipped not only by Brahmanas but by Shudras, Chandavas and women. In fact, the Karmakanda of Veda contains many such ordinances opposite to Brahman knowledge of Tantra. For this reason, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has said in the Gita that the Vedas are concerned with the object constituted of the Triguna Vishaya, and bids Arjuna to free himself of the gunas. He says the Veda contains the Karmakanda, but that he who seeks the Brahman state above the gunas should abandon the Karmakanda and perform sadhana according to Shastra, by which liberation is gained. In spite, however, of differences in worship and practice, both Veda and Tantra Shastra are one in holding that there can be no liberation without Tattva Jnana. In the Nirvana Tantra, Shiva says, O Devi, there is no liberation without Tattva Jnana. According to Veda, a sadhaka, in order to become fit for Nirvana, must have first accomplished for the fourfold sadhana. He must have acquired the faith that Brahman is alone everlasting, and have no desire for happiness either on earth or in heaven. He must possess these 6 virtues, Shama, Dhamma, so forth, and must long for liberation. He then discusses Vichara and ponders on Mahavakya that Zu At Tattvamasi, and thus realizing that unity of Paramatma and Jivatma attains the knowledge, Here I am, Soham, Aham Brahmasmi. In our tradition, this is fourth Tantra. Sadhana is Kriya Tantra Yoga, Charya Tantra Yoga, Kundalini Tantra Yoga, Anuttara Tantra Yoga. In Tantric Upasana, the Jnana Kanda is mingled with the Karma Kanda. The Agama teaches the ignorant Pashu steeped in dualism, Virabhava Sadhana, in which dualism and non-dualism are mingled, and thus endeavors to raise them to the divine state of Jivanmuktas, the state of pure monism, is a Divya Bhava. Madhu says, no dualists to be Pashu, non-dualists are Brahmanas. Rudayama says that Virabhava is revealed for the development of Jnana. After perfecting Jnana and attainment of Brahma Siddhi, the Sattaka becomes Devata in pure state of Sattva. It means understanding of all teaching teachings of all tradition and is a knowledge of all agama in practice. The Vedanta and philosophic Shastra are replete with the instruction and agreements touching non-dualism, but they do not indicate the path by which one can be in actual practice non-dualistic. For this reason we see Vedantic Pandits deeming it unclean to touch a low caste man such as a Shudra. They also observe endless distinction as to what should or should not to be eaten and what should and not should to be offered to Devata. Tantra Shastra however says that non-dualistic Bhava Advaita, should be accompanied by non-dualistic action, Kriya Advaita. The Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana says that to the Muni who realize non-dualism, Advaita in Bhava, in Kriya and object, Dravya, in all these three matters, the world seems but a dream. According to the instruction of Tantra Shastra, the Sadhaka rises in the early hours of the morning and sitting on his bed meditates as follows. I am the Devi and none other. I am the Brahman who knows not grief. I am a form of being consciousness bliss, whose true nature is eternal liberation. Again, at noon, sitting at worship, he does Bhuta Shuddhi, and therein merging the 24 tattvas, beginning with S in Paramatma, and thinking of Paramatma and Jivatma as one, he meditates, here I am, Aham Brahmasmi. Gandharva Tantra says that after due obeisance to the Guru, the wise sadhaka should sing, here I am, and thus unite Jivatma and Paramatma in the image of Guru. In all Sthuvathyana of Mahavidyas forming part of daily worship, Tantra Shastra everywhere enjoins meditation on the Mahadevi as no different form but one with the sadhaka's Atma. It means we can see many forms of Kali, Durga, Parvati, but it is one Shakti. And real sadhaka, he can see only one mother, but in different images. The Kali Tantra says that after meditating as enjoined, the sadhaka should worship the Devi as Atman. He I am, Soham. Kamala Atmika is a lotus of goddess feet. Kubjika Tantra says that sadhaka should think of his Atma as one with her. Neo Tantra in the Dhyana of Tara says the meditation should be done on one's own Atma as one with the severe goddess Tarini. In Gandharva Tantra, Mahadevi says as regards the Dhyana of Tripura Sundari that the man who meditates on the untouched, unattributeless and pure Atma, which is Tripura as one with and not different from, his own Atma becomes himself her, Tanmaya. One should become her by ever thinking, she I am, Soham, Aham Devi. Again, in the Kali Kuwa Sarva Shastra, Shiva says that whoever meditates on the Guru and recites the hymn of the spouse of Shiva and sings of Kalika Atma as one with his own Atma is Shri Sadashiva. Similarly, Karnava Tantra says the body is the temple of Devata and the Jiva is the Deva Sadashiva. Sadashiva is a white Shiva. Sadashiva is Shiva without time. He acquire a goddess in understanding. Let the sadhaka give up his ignorance as an offering and worship with his thought and feeling, he I am, It is not only at times of worship and so forth that the sadhaka is enjoined to meditate on Him who is Paramatma is one with his own Atma Shiva. Teaches that our thought and feeling should be not dualistic in all that we do in eating, in walking, and so forth. Hence, in the Gandharva Tantra, Shiva says, I am both the Deva and the food offered to him, the flower and perfume and all else. I am the Deva. There is none other than me. It is I who worships the Deva, and I am also Deva of Devas. Again, it is ordained that at the time of taking Karana wine and the rest, they should be offered to the fire of consciousness in one's own heart, uttering the mantra, and the thinking that Kundalini extends to the tip of his tongue. Let the Sadhaka say, the liquid shines, I am the light, I am Brahman, she I am. I offer a ahuti to my own self, Savaha. He who does sadhana of the Mahavidi in Virachara, with such Advaita Bhava attained by her grace to Divya Bhava, and with the thought I am Brahman becomes liberated, whilst living and on death is one with Mahadevi. In the Devi Gita, she Devi says, he becomes myself because both are one. Again, the Mahanirvana Tantra enjoins a similar non-dualistic feeling in the mantra to be said when taking the Dravya wine. The ladle is a Brahman, the offering is a Brahman, the fire is a Brahman, the offering is made by Brahman, and to Brahman he goes who places all his action in Brahman. Ism sort of Hamsa. Sachidananda Mahavidya, in undistinguishable union of Shiva and Shakti, can alone be worshipped with such non-dualism of feeling. Also, Tantric worshippers are divided into 5 communities, namely Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnava, Ganapatya, and Saura. The first alone are all Dvijas, sings or worshippers of Savitri, Gayatri, the mother of Veda belonging to Shakta community. The Matrika Bheda Tantra says Savitri is the mother of the Veda, was born of the sweat of Kali body. That Devi grants the threefold fruit and is Shakti of Brahman. Sadhaka belonging to the other 4 communities worship their respective male devotees, associating with them their Shakti. Thus, the Shaivas worship Shiva under the name Uma Maheshwara, Shiva Durga, Kali Shankara, Ardhanarishwara, and so forth. The Vaishnavas worship Vishnu under the name Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, Shihari, and so forth. In the Nirvana Tantra, Sri Krishna says, to those who do japa of Radha first and then Krishna, to such I of Shuri grant a happy Lord even now and here. By uttering the name Sitarama, one utters the Tara of Mahadevi, and for this reason it is also called Taraka Brahman. The Sauras perform the worship with the mantra obeisance to Sri Surya, accompanied by Shakti who reveals. The meaning of Dakshina Kali is all these goddesses. This is Sun, Yamaraja, Mahakala, Shiva, Krishna. The worship of Tara is a worship similar of worship Sri Rama and Sita. Sri Surya accompanied by the Shakti who reveals. Moreover, the Maya Bijahrim, which is the pranava of Devi, is added to the Mua mantra by every sect. This clearly shows that all these 5 sects are directly or indirectly worshippers of the Brahman who is Shiva Shakti, both in his Nirguna and Saguna aspects. Kaivalya Upanishad says, by meditation on the 3-eyed, blue-throated Serene Lord, Parameshvara, who is without beginning, middle and end, who is one and pervades all things, who is wonderful, Chidananda itself, Accompanied by Uma, the Muni goes to the source of all being, Bhutayoni, to the witness of all, who is beyond all darkness. Hence, in the Tantra Shastra, Shiva has said that the Shiva Shakti Tattva is the cause of Tattva Jnana, and therefore japa should be done by mantra in which they are united. That is, one attains Tattva Jnana, which is liberation by worshipping Brahmas as mother and father. All mantras being composed of Shiva and Shakti, one should meditate on Shiva Shakti as being one. In the Tantra Shastra also Shiva has said that there is no difference between them who are inseparably connected. He who is Shiva is also Shakti, and she who is Shakti is also Shiva. Fatherhood and motherhood are merely distinctions of name. In reality they stand for one and the same thing. The Tantra Shastra again says that Shakti, Maheshvara, Brahman all denote the same being. Male, female, neta are verbal and not real distinction. Shakti, Maheshvara, Brahman all three denote the one eternal Mahavidya, who is Satchitananda. Also, the Mahavidya in the truth, Nirguna and eternal. She assumes various Maya form, varying according to the gunas for the fruition of the desires of sadhakas. It is said in Chandi that she ever appears to fulfill the purpose of devas, and such time she who is the truth eternal is commonly said to be generated. In the Devyagama it is said, Mahamaya, who is a Chidrupa and Parabrahma Svarupini, assumed by her grace towards sadhaka various forms. We may meditate on Mahadevi as a female of male, for these terms may be attributed to any gross body. They cannot, however, be attributed to her insofar as she is Satchitananda. Sadhaka of Shakti worship Brahman as mother, for in the world the mother aspects alone of her who is Brahman is fully manifested. In the Yama, Shiva says, Devi may, by my beloved, be thought of the female or male, or the Satchitananda Rupini may be thought of as Nishkala Brahman. But in truth, she is neither a female, male, native being, nor any animated thing. But like the term Kalpavali, feminine terms are attributed to her. In fact, the main cause of this birth and nourishment of man and animals is their respective mothers. Their fathers and merely helpers. Every jiva on issuing from his mother's womb lives on her milk and receives his first initiation with the mantra, Ma. The first preceptor, Adiguru of every man is his mother. She is his visible devata. His first lesson are learned of her. It is the mark also of the earth to generate and nourish all jivas like a mother, by producing for them all kinds of fruits and drinks, and holding them in her bosom. Hence we are not wrong in saying that the world is full of mother. In mathematics, zero has no value and is merely an empty formless thing, indicative of infinity, until it is joined to an integer. But when joined to the figure 1, it converts it into 10. It converts it into 10. Similarly, when she who is formally is Brahman is joined to her own Prakriti, consisting of the three gunas, spoken of it in Shruti as the unborn one, red, black and white, then she assumes for the fruition of the sadhaka's desires 10 different forms, Dasha Mahavidya, whose variety is due to difference in the proportion of the three guna. There are the 10 Mahavidyas who are Shiva Shakti Maya. These 10 forms are Kali and Dakshina Kali, Tara, Mahavidya, Shadashi, Bhuvaneshwari, Bhairavi, Chinamasta, Thumavati and Vidya Bhagava. The Siddha Vidya, Matangi and Kamala. Some tantras mention 18 Mahavidyas, but these are forms of 10 with slight variations. Of the 10 Mahavidyas, Kali is a Shuddha Sattva Guna Pradhana, Nirvikara, Nirguna Brahma Swarupa Prakarshika. This is primordial form which alone directly gives Kaivalya. In Yogini Tantra Devi says, now see my form, Rupa, which is a Brahmanda and supreme. Listen, this form is a supreme state, Paramatthama, in the form of Kali. There is no Brahman form higher than this. In Kamakkhya Tantra, Shiva says, in the void is a Kali who grants Kaivalya. Tara is a Sattva Gunatmika and Tattva Vidya Daini. Shadashi, Mahatripura Sundari, Bhuvaneshwari, Chinnamasta are Raja Pradhana and Sattva Gunatmika. And hence they grant Jnana Mukti in the form of heaven Svarga, Aishwarya Shakti and so forth. The forms of Dhumavati, Bhagav, Matangi and Kamala are Tama Pradhana, and hence the sadhana is done in Shatkarma, such as causing death to others and so forth. In short, all the forms of Mahadevi gives enjoyment and liberation directly or indirectly. You can worship one Mahavidya or 10 Mahavidyas. You can understand liberation, but in our time you should worship 10 Mahavidyas. The forms of Mahavidya are divided in two groups, namely the Kalikuva and Shrikuva. So, Niruttara Tantra says that Kali, Tara, Rakta Kali, Bhuvana, Mahisha Mardini, Triputa, Tvarita, Durga and Vidya, Pratyangira belong to the Kalikuva. And to the Shrikuva belong Sundari, Bhairavi, Bhava, Bhagava, Kamala, Dhumavati, Matangi, Vidya, Swapnavati and Mahavidya Madhumati. Of all the Siddha Vidyas, Dakshina is of my beloved, the cause. Dakshina Kali is the most impotent Mahavidya. She is the first. Kalikuva is for the worship of Jnanis in Divya and Virabhava. And Shrikuva is for the worship of Karmins in Divya, Vira and Pashubhavas. The Tantra Shastra gives an account of the mantras, yantras, mode of worship and so forth for all the 10 of 18 Mahavidyas. But almost all Tantric writings aims at the greatness of and gives the highest place to Kalika, the first Mahavidya, for the others are but different form of Brahmarupini Kalika. The Nigama Kalpataru says, of all castes the Brahmana is the highest. Amongst all sadhakas the Shakta is the highest. Of Shaktas he is the chief who does japa of Kali mantra. One Tantra also says of all the mantras of Devas that of Kalika is the best. Even the vilest can become Jivanmukta simply through this mantra. Hrim Shim Krim Parmeshwari Kalike Swaha. In Yogini Tantra, Shiva says that Vidya Kalika is a Mahabrahma. Vidya, through whom even the worst may attain Nirvana. Even Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara are worshippers of Kali. She, who is a Kali, the Supreme Vidya, is Tara also. The notion of a difference between them have given rise to various mantras. Again, the Kamakkhya Tantra says, O Parameshwari, 7 lakhs of Mahavidyans remain hidden. Of them all, Shadashi is said to be the most sublime. But O Devi, the mother of the world Kalika, is the mother even of her. Niruttara Tantra says, without knowledge of Shakti or Devi, there is no Nirvana. That Shakti is Dakshina Kali, who is the one form of all Vidyas, Sarva Vidya Rupini. The Yamava again says, as is Kali, so is Tara, and so are China and Kuuka. O Devi, you who are the Supreme Kalika are also the Murti which is composed of this form. In the Vedic system Sankhika, Brahmanas achieved their ends by the offering oblations to the seven lolling tongue of the fire named Kali, Karali, Manajava, Soahita, Sudhamravarna, Spulingini and Devi Vishvaruchi. Another important characteristic of the Tantra Shastra remains to be mentioned. Also, the scripture is very liberal in matters of practice and worship and does not recognize distinction of caste and so forth. It has yes repeatedly enjoined sadhakas to keep this achara hidden from ignorant Pashu. Of cows it says that they are at heart Shaktas, outwardly Shaivas and in gatherings Vaishnavas. It also contains injunctions such as that the teaching should be kept as secret as one would the knowledge of one mother's illicit love, and that if it is given out, the sadhaka purpose is frustrated and so forth. In the Gandharva Tantra, Shiva says that only such men as they are without dualism have controlled their passion and are devoted to Brahman, are entitled to this Shastra. He alone is entitled who is a believer, pure, self-controlled, without dualism, who lives in Brahman, speaks of Brahman, is devoted to Brahman, take refuge in Brahman, who is free from all feeling of enmity against others, and who is ever engaged in doing good to all beings. Others are not true sadhakas. It should not be taught to Pashu, to those who are insincere, or to men of swallow knowledge. For this reason, Shiva has used symbols in the teaching of all dhyanas, mantras, yantras and modes of sadhana of devas and devis. The meaning of this symbol is not known to any but the Sadguru. Hence, the secret mysteries are unintelligible, even to the learned without the grace of the Guru. In the Kaula Tantra, Shiva said, there are many Gurus who know the Vedas, the Shastra and so forth. But O Devi, reigns the Guru who knows the meaning of the Supreme Tattva. Hence, in order to know the true meaning of the dhyanas and so forth, there is no other means than to seek refuge with the Guru who knows the meaning of all agamas. It is owing to ignorance of the true nature of Devata that even Brahmavidya, who is subtler than the most subtle, and consciousness itself seem to be a gross thing. Even learned men do not shrink from saying that this is Brahmamaya, whose desires are fully realized, Purnakama, is a font of offerings of blood, flesh and so forth. In the Jnana Samkalini Tantra, Shiva says, Agni is the deva of the twice born. The Devata of Muni is in their hearts. Men of small intelligence worship images. To this wise, Devata is everywhere. That is a Karman Brahmanas worship Agni as Ishvara. Yogis see the Devata in their own hearts. Men of small intelligence worship the Devata in images, and high solid sees of the Tvattva see Brahman everywhere. In fact, much as a teacher shows his little students small globes and maps in order to make them understand the nature of the great as, so Guru counsels sadhakas of no great intelligence and or of inferior adhikara to meditate on sthula forms in images and pictures so that their wandering minds may be rested and they may learn the true aspects of Devata. Unfortunately, however, ignorant men consider the sthula form to be the true aspect of the Devata. In the Kaula Tantra, Shiva says that some meditate on sthula to still the mind, which when so stilled can fix itself on the sukshma, subtle body. The sadhaka should first learn from the Guru that quality or action each limb of the images represent, and should then practice meditation on the subtle, otherwise the gross form will itself become for him mere as or stone. In Kubjika Tantra Shiva says, O Lady of Mahesha, one should meditate on the formless, along with the form. It is by my constant practice, O Devi, that one realizes the formless. Hence Sadhaka, who desires liberation, should always think of the Svarupa Tattva, or Brahmavidya Kalika. On this Svarupa the Devi says in Mahabhagavata, those who long for liberation should, in order to gain freedom from the bonds of the body, meditate on the aspects Rupa of mind, which is the supreme light, Jyoti, Sukshma and Nishkala, Nirguna, and all-pervading, unbeginning, non-dual soul cause, which is Sachitananda itself. This is Svarupa of the Devi, which is beyond all mind and speech. The Markandeya Purana says that Mahamaya is a Nishkala, Nirguna, endless, undecaying, unthinkable, formless, and both eternal Nitya and transcendent Anitya. That is, Mahamaya Kalika is free from Kala Maya and free from gunas, without an appreciable, eternal, and not transcendent as in the world, Jagat. Formless, and hence as such is not the object of the meditation. In the Kurma Purana, Vishnu in the form of a tortoise says that the Supreme Devi is Nirguna, pure, white, stainless, free from all duality and realizable by the Atma only. This state of hers is attainable only by jnana. In the Kamada Tantra, Shiva says that eternal Kali, who is the Supreme Brahman, is one without a second as a male or female. She has neither form, adhara or upadhi. She is sinless and imperishable Sachitananda, the great Brahman. She, who is eternal Brahman, has neither appearance, avirubhava, ni disappearance, tirabhava. And being all-pervading, she cannot be said, like other devas and devis, to reside in any particular loka. This Brahma resides in Brahmaloka, Vishnu in Vishnu Loka, Rudra in Kailasha, and Shri Krishna in Goloka. But Mahadevi is always and everywhere equally present. So, for the fulfillment of the desires of sadhaka, she appears in particular form in their mind and heart. It is clear, therefore, that her Dhuva aspects is Maya-made, Maya-maya, and transient, Anitya. For this reason, Shiva in the Gandharva Tantra said that aspects Rupa of the Devi, which is the supreme bliss and the great cause of the worlds, neither appears nor disappears. In the Karnava Tantra, Shiva says, it neither rises nor sets, nor grows nor decays. It shines itself and makes others shine without any help. This aspect is without condition, Anavaska, and is being only, Satamatra, and unknowable to the senses, Agachara. This is the Svarupa aspect of the Mahadevi, who is the supreme bliss, is the root cause of this world of the three gunas. This aspect has no appearance or disappearance and no growth or decay. It is self-manifest and manifest or other object. It is beyond the states of waking, dreams, and sleep. It is unattainable by speech and mind, and it is a being itself. In fact, just as fire, which, though pervading all objects, does not show its power of burning and lighting, and cannot be put to use for cooking and so forth, until it has been generated by the friction of two objects. So also the Chinmaya is all-pervading. She does not become visible, nor does she grant one desire without the action of sadhana. Again, just as the sun itself motionless in the distant heavens by its rays draws moisture from the earth, so the Mahadevi, who is a bird of all shaktis, though it in herself changeless, Nirvikara, creates and the like the world by means of the 8 shaktis, Brahmani, Vaishnavi, Maheshwari, Chamundi, Indrani, Mahalakshmi, presides as her creative and Adi Shakti. For this reason, in the yantra of Mahadevi Kalika, The sadhaka worships the 15 shakti, Kali and other in the 15 corners, the 8 shakti brahmi and other of the 8 petals, the 8 bhairavas and vatukas, asitanga, ruru, kapava, chanda, bhishma, and the rest, the 8 of the 8 petals, the 4 devatas, Vishnu and others, the 4 corners of the yantra and the 10 dikpavas, Indra and the others, in the 10 direction as the beings the race of Kalika, who is himself a mass of pure light, Tejajana, Tejakhana. The Mahadevi is worshipped as a Murti, consisting of Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti Maha, in the Bindu and the center of the yantra. Also the Agama Shastra, which grants Advaita Bhava and educes Tattva Jnana, has been revealed by all merciful Shri Bhairava and Bhairavi. It is still unknown to a mass of people. Many, in fact, today despise the Tantra because it contains Virachara and Kuachara, and some even refuse to admit that it is a Dharma Shastra at all. If they had read the Tantra Shastra intelligently and learned its principle from Sadhaka, thoroughly versed in it, they would have realized how mistaken were their notions of it, and instead of despising it, would certainly have admitted that this Shastra is the only means of liberation for the undisciplined, weak-minded and short-lived. Seeing this wine, flesh, fish are consumed and sexual intercourse takes place in the world at large, I am myself unable to understand why many people should shudder at the sadhana Panchamakara to be found in the Tantra Shastra. Do these acts become blameable only if made a part of worship, upasana? Oh no, this is that ghee which nourishes and promotes longevity, causes serious stomach disease and even death if taken into large quantities, will snake poison which kills, will yet cure and lengthens the life of a dying delirious man. It will be purified and given under suitable condition with a cold bath, a diet of whey and so forth. Similarly, the great physician Vaidyanatha himself has prescribed the mantra of Adi Shakti, possessed of all Shaktis, and the invigorating Panchamakara as a sadhana suitable for the cure of the malady of existence, Bhavaroga, of the sinful jivas of this dark Kali age, and as means whereby they may attain the supreme state full of eternal bliss, imperishable. And immortal. All classes of physicians prescribe this use of wine, fish and flesh in measured quantities for the acquisition of strength by patients who are weak and have a low vitality. On that account, the medical science does not deserve to be hated. Similarly, the Tantra Shastra does not deserve to be blamed for prescribing the Panchamakara for the liberation of Jiva suffering from the disease of worldly existence. Shiva has nowhere said that Sadhaka of Shakti should always drink wine, always slaughter animals and eat their flesh, and always enjoy women, and thus they will attain liberation. On the contrary, he has counseled various means for taking excesses in their matters, and he has a particular controlled license by making this as part of the worship of Ishvara. It is the degraded conduct of number of great Pashu who pretend to be Sadhaka, which is the cause of the public dislike for an hatred of the Tantra Shastra. In the Mahanirvana Tantra, Shri Sadashiva says, wine is a Tara, the Saviya, in the liquid form. Dravyamaya. It saves jivas, destroying dangers and disease, and grants both enjoyment and liberation. But wine, if drunk in contravention of rule, destroys the intelligence, reputation, wealth and life of man. Even a Kaula who has received Abhisheka 100 times is to be deemed a pashu and without pay of karma if he is addicted to excessive drinking. In the Karnava, Shiva says, "O my beloved, he who kills animals for self-satisfaction in contravention of shastric ordinance will dwell in a terrible hell for as many days as the hairs of the body of the animal." This utterance of Shiva clearly shows that he has nowhere ordained the free use of Panchamakara by people in general. He is ordained Virachara or Kulachara only for sadhakas of the Nivriti path who long for liberation. Such sadhakas free from duality, nirvikalpa, as they are, wish to see the Sachitananda aspect of the Mahadevi. And Shiva has prescribed the Panchamakara to enable them to realize the Ananda aspect. Just as a man who knows not sweetness is given sugar or honey to eat, so the sadhaka is made to taste the fleeting objective, bliss or Panchamakara, so that, thus controlling his 6 enemies for this time being, he may have a notion of the eternal Brahman bliss. The momentary taste of eternal Brahman bliss makes the liberation desiring sadhaka eager for and industrious to gain it. But after the attainment of the natural sahaja, Brahma bliss, he no more longs for the 5 makaras and becomes gradually devoted to divyachara. If a sadhaka takes wine in a limited way after purification, the outgoing of his sense is weakened, and the mind or inner senses is stilled, so that he is thus fitted for sukshma dhyana. For this reason, wine is called cause karana. In the Karnava Tantra, Shiva says, Ananda is the self-rupa of Brahman, and that exists in the body. Wine is its revealer and its hands drunk by yogi. Wine and flesh are taken with the Brahmajnana for the satisfaction of all devas, and whoever partakes of them for self-gratification is a sinner. That is, sadhaka do sadhana with the Panchamakara for the satisfaction of the devatas whom they worship and the development of Brahmajnana in their hearts. But whoever takes them for his own enjoyment is doomed to a terrible hell as a great sinner. Shiva has also said in the Karnava, one reaches heaven by the very things which may lead to hell. The 5th makara, that is sexual intercourse, is the root cause of the creation of the world of jivas. All jivas, be they devatas, men, beasts, birds, fish, insects or flies, are produced by the sexual union of their respective parents. In this world, every male is individualized aspects of Shiva, the Adipurusha. And Chanji says all females in all the worlds are part of the Mahashakti. The Kurma Purana says the Mahadevi is herself one, present in many parts of divisions. Beyond Maya, absolutely pure, Mahamaya, Ishvari, eternal, stainless, consciousness of all Puranas. The Gandharva Tantra says the male form, the female form, and the other for good form, all this is undoubtedly her supreme form. One Brahman becoming dual appears as Shiva and Shakti, and that aspect in which there is union of Shiva and Shakti is the true aspect of Sajjanananda Brahman. It is from this aspect of blissful Anandamaya union that the world is created, and for that reason man and all other creatures ever seek happiness. The bliss of reproductive power of males and females manifests in their bodies only at the time of sexual union. At this time ignorant man remains intent only on gratifying the passion, but sadhaka possessed of the knowledge of Kaula then meditate on the yoga blissful form mukti of Shiva and Shakti, present in the heart of males and females, and calling to mind the meaning of the mantra of the Ishtadevata do japa of it. In the Kalikua Sharvasva, Sri Sadashiva says, By doing japa of mantra and by adoration of Bhagavati, the content of Shiva, at times of sexual union, a man becomes like Shuka, free of things. In other place he says the concept of Shiva should be worshipped by becoming Shiva. True Shakti sadhana consists in considering all girls and women, old and young and of all castes, as the visible forms of one own Ishtadevata, and obeying to them as mothers with the Ishta mantra in mind and not treating them with neglect or contempt under any circumstance. In the Kaula Tantra, Shiva says, one should make obeisance on seeing a young woman of a Kaula family. One should bow to any female, be she a young woman or flushed with youth, or be she old, be she beautiful or ugly, good or wicked. One should never deceive, speak ill of, or do ill to a woman, and one should never strike her. All such acts prevent the attainment of Siddhi. At the present time, a measured use of wine, flesh, and so forth, and so respect for women as for the Devata are particularly seen in the civilized society of the West. Satisfied at this, the Mahakali, who is the queen of queens, has granted to the people of the West the light of science and sovereignty of the whole world. Srimad Adinatha Mahakali has in the Karpura stotra, called the Svarupa stotra, briefly described the mantra, yantra, dhyana and sadhana of Srimati Dakshina Kalika, who is the Parabrahman, Parabrahma Svarupini. This supreme tattva is hard to attain even by such Ishvaras as Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra. Mahakali himself says, neither Khata, no Isha, no Hari, who knows thy supreme tattva. However, in accordance with the teaching of my Paramaguru, Mahamapadha, and the most worshipful Ramananda Swami, I write this is Svarupa commentary on the name of Myognandayini. Prayer. At the feet of Shri Kalika. May the Mahadevi, who is called Kalika, because she is without beginning or end, whose body is imagined to be blue of color, because like the blue sky she pervades the world, and because she is a Chijnana Sattva Gunamaya, who is imagined but to be black, because she is a colorless and above the colored gunas, whose hair is disheveled Muktakeshi, because so herself changeless she binds infinite numbers of jivas by bonds of Maya, symbolized by her disheveled hair, and because she makes liberated Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar, who are Kesha, who is imagined as having the sun, moon and fire as her three eyes, because at the Virat, the witness of the world past, present and future, she sees everything, who is pictured as wearing the dead body of two boys as her ear ornaments, because as said in Agama and Nigama, the childlike and unperturbed Sadhaka is very dear to her, who brings the soul, creatrix, preserver and destructress of infinite millions of worlds, has on her body the mark of her yoni, signifying creation, full and high breast, denoting preservation, and terrible visage, signifying the withdrawal of all things, who is said to have large teeth and lolling tongue, and to hold in her hand a cup made of human skull, because the Chinmaya Mahadevi drinks the wine of delusion arising from the Tamaguna of her Sadhaka by means of Sattva Pradhana Rajaguna, who is pictured as wearing a garland of several heads, because she is Shabda Brahman, and the heads are the 50 letters, whose upper and lower right hands are seen to be making the Abhaya and Varada Mudra, because she both destroys the dangers and grants the desires of sadhakas. whose upper left hand is depicted as wielding a sword, because she severs the bonds of illusion for the Nishkama Sadhaka, whose lower left hand is seen to hold a human head, because she grants him Tattvajnana, who is called Digambari, because being Brahman she is free from covering of Maya and unconcerned, who is depicted as having a vast chain of human hands, because hands are the principal instruments of work, and the claws of Kalpa or Jivas with their karmas are merged in the Avidya Shakti or Mahamaya, who is seen standing on the breast of corpse like Shiva, because the supreme state and Svarupa Avastha or Mahadevi is Nirguna and changeless, who is seen in Viparita Maithuna with Mahakali, because at the beginning of Kalpa, she who is ever blissful and being united with Shiva feels pleasure in the work of creation, which she effects by bringing the changeless Parashiva under her dominion, Vasibhuta, who is again said to live in the cremation ground, because when at the end of Kalpa all things in the universe from Brahma to the blade of grace are dissolved in Mahakali, she is in and one with the Mahakali, who may be thus compared to a cremation ground, and because at the death of Jivas she exists as the individual, Jivatma, in the burning ground, whose yantra for worship is composed of a circle symbolizing Maya, and 8-petal lotus denoting the 8-fold Prakriti, 3 pentagons representing the 5 avas, and Bindu denoting Shiva Shakti. Because she is a Paramatma in the gross and subtle body consisting of the 3 gunas and 24 tattvas, whose Bija cream, the queen of mantras, is a pure Sattva guna, and consciousness Chaitanya Maya, and grants both enjoyment and liberation, who is worshipped as Dakshina because she alone grants the full fruits of all forms of Upasana and Yajna. May she, this Mahadevi, who is Sajidananda Rupini, and forgiveness itself, pardon all offense committed by me in the explanation of this Hyogim. Shambhu with his 5 mouths is unable to relate thy qualities. Pardon all my childishness. Be propitious. Guard my life, guard my repute, and guard my wife, sons and wealth. And at the death grant me liberation. O Master of the world, obeisance. Shri Vivekananda Swami. Om Tat Sat. Om Shakti. Om Shakti. Om Shakti.